And the second part that's really important for us to actually think about and kind of flesh out is the idea that real boredom is what you need to actually start asking the questions that matter in your life. When you're constantly bombarded and you're constantly filling your head with all this noise, all this like noise that doesn't matter, like you're watching freaking political debates, or you're watching, I don't know, like, thinking 2024 and Drake and Kendrick are going at it or whatever. You're watching like news about pop stars and stuff. It's like you're filling with all the stuff that doesn't matter. When are you ever gonna have space to actually sit and be like, I don't like my life. Okay, what can I do to change my life? What do I want my life to look like? You don't get to be able to do that if you're constantly filling the space with cheap entertainment. Because you're filled with so much cheap entertainment, your brain doesn't allow you to actually go deep and think about things that are important. Think about life's hardest questions, like what is my purpose and stuff. It's one of those things you're going to talk about when you're younger and you're like, ugh. But as you grow, your life just passes you by because that's exactly what you're doing. So it happens to a lot of people. Life gets tough. They find coping mechanisms to fill their head with like noise, and they numb. Like they're trying to numb the difficulty. And the sad part of that numbing is that it just numbs you. You just numb your way through life. You don't ever get to sit with the pain, sit with the difficulty, sit with this thing of like, man, what the flip has just happened to my life, and try and figure out what it is you actually want from life, what you need to change. You don't get to really sit on that. And it reminds me of this quote I've heard before on this podcast, and it's, the answers you're looking for are in the silence you're avoiding. What is it that you're so scared of that you can't sit by yourself with your own thoughts for even 5 minutes? That you can't spend that time without going on your phone and like kind of scrolling to get a hit of entertainment. Like you can't sit with boredom. What is it that you're so afraid of in there? And I think the more you spend time thinking about that question, the more you get closer to kind of what you're looking for. Because that sinking feeling that comes every so often that, man, I hate my life, or I'm not living the life that I want to be living, or my life is boring, that's something that's just bubbling underneath the surface, and you're just suppressing it every day when you're watching and listening to cheap entertainment, and not actually asking yourself the questions that matter. And you rob yourself of that opportunity. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to really, really think about this. But when was the last time you actually did something that made life feel like it was worth living? I want you to really sit with that question and just ask yourself that maybe on a daily basis until you get to an answer. When was the last time you did something that was like, wow, this is great. Wow. Like this is a life. I love this. I never want to leave this moment. When was the last time you did something like that? I can bet it wasn't when you were scrolling on your phone. I've never ever spent a whole day on my phone watching YouTube, TikTok, all this nonsense, and reached the end of the day and said, yeah, that was a day well spent. Like, this is what makes life worth living. Like, I can't wait to do that again. That's never happened to me, and something tells me it's not the case for you as well. And I think the other question to ask yourself is that, how many more opportunities in your life will you actually get to make your life into something you actually want, to construct your life in a manner that you want it to be in? Because if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're in your 20s. We're not going to get much more time to fix things, to construct the life we want. We're only getting older. And I think the best kind of analogy for this is your body itself, right? I think for men, our bone density reaches its maximum, in like our early 30s. And the exercise or the amount of work you do on your body when you're young, for like those first 30 years, really determines how healthy you're going to be for the rest of your life. Like if you spend like your first 40, 50 years just trashing your body, like you're eating like trash, you sleep like trash, you work late hours, you do all these things that just destroy your body. It doesn't matter how much exercise or clean eating or, sleep, you do after that. Your body's broken. But if you do it the other way around, like if you spend a lot of time, like in your first 30, 40 years, you're in great shape. You've built like a lot of muscle, like a good amount, not like freaking bodybuilder crazy, but you've built decent muscle and you've gotten into good shape. You're going to be reaping the rewards for that for the rest of your life. Like you're going to have like health. You're going to have a healthy body that is just going to pay you dividends for the rest of your life. And that's the same thing that happens to your life. Whatever things we're doing now that cause changes in your life, they're going to become more permanent the more time that passes. But also, more importantly, we're not going to have as much time to do this. Like we really aren't. And it's just something to think about, because we always think we have all this time in the world, but we really don't. We just don't. And yeah, I think it's important to meditate on that.